We are live. Hey, everybody, what's going on? It is us, that young melanated council of Yang, for short, McCoy. We're here on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and wherever around the world, figure it out. I'm not going to do that. It's too much brain power. I'm not going to figure that one out. But this is what we're doing. We're here. We're live. We're in effect. And we got a nice little topic. And I want this beautiful young lady over here. That way. Bam. Right there. I want her to introduce the topic for tonight. So without further ado, the Elder. Take it away.
Well, for one, my name is a little bit of a homage to this famous lesbian show called The L Word. Since it's Pride Month, I figured it goes with the theme with my name. Anyway, so the reason for this topic is I feel like a lot of us have just been kind of running ourselves ragged, and I feel like COVID definitely pushed it because we've been on our phones a lot more and sort of isolated. So we've been seeing a lot of just stuff on Instagram, especially, and Twitter, Facebook, and we see what gets a lot of likes. We always have, it's never been a secret unless you like to play ignorant or live under a rock.
Yes.
Hey, friend.
Hey. Thank you, my good friend.
Yes. So, at the end of the day, we all kind of want some kind of validation. And when you go on your social media apps, it almost seems like a need, at least for me. And I'd be lying if I said that none of this affected me at all. Like, sometimes with what I post, how I choose to post it, especially with Instagram, if I choose to make it an actual post or a story, if on Twitter, how I word things, to try to be more funny or a little bit more modern with the jargon and the lingo of the Twitterverse. I'd be lying if that didn't influence my posts. How I take selfies, even if I'm not really going to share them with anyone or anything. and just things like that. And I know that everyone is sort of in that same boat. I feel like everyone's trying to become, this is a very meta topic anyway, especially with, I feel like everyone's trying to be an influencer in some fashion. Everyone's trying to look a certain way, do a certain, talk a certain way for the clout, for the likes, to a certain extent. Like recently, and this is something I've always wanted personally, but it just kind of got me thinking. Like recently, I hired a personal trainer, and he's been great, and I've definitely been seeing results. And I'm happy with him, and things have been great. But like the body types I showed him that I wanted, it's not like they're unachievable for me, but it sort of made me wonder, like, why do I want these body types? Is it because I think they're sexy and I can acquire them? Do I think that it will lead to more happiness? Do I think it will lead to, a better following on my Instagram because my Instagram is trash? Do I feel like it's what? Because I never really had a professional photo shoot, so all of my pictures are just sort of whatever, but you go onto other people's Instagrams and they have a theme and they have some way of doing things or, some sort of flow and rhythm. And mine is just, it's like, just here's some shit. Let me just post it. And then I'm like, I've posted a lot of shit throughout the years. Let me just post my shit onto my stories so they go away. And I feel like, this is just me venting. Well, not venting, but just, telling you guys a story. And I feel like my oldest niece, who just turned 18, like she follows me on Instagram now, and like she's like looked at my Instagram throughout the years, and she was just like, it's called like a spam Instagram where you just put whatever, it's like, your Instagram is just sort of like, and I was like, huh, I'm not hip with the youngins. I feel like an old lady. And even though, like, am I ashamed of my Instagram? No, I'm not. I know that it's like weird. I know it's like sort of random. It's sort of pointless, just mine. But you sort of kind of want the attention of, certain people. Like there might be someone that you're interested in, and you go onto their Instagram and you see like their girlfriend or something, and you see what she looks like, and then you go onto her Instagram and you see how that's looking, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can do that, if I can ever do that. But it's sort of depressing. I try to stay off of Instagram a lot because it's, it's just perfection just kind of shoved into your face, like algorithmic perfection shoved into your face. It's like, all right, here's all these women, these Black women with these body types. You press search just to search for like your friend or someone, or something. And then in the search part, it has like all these different accounts or like these pictures. And then it's sort of geared towards what they think you want. And you just sort of constantly see the shit that you don't really want to be seeing, because you're sort of seeing it because you're like a little bit jealous. You want that. You're a little bit envious. You sort of want that body. You want that life, with the, like the beautiful, like lighting with the picture, the pictures with like gorgeous kitchen, with the island in the kitchen. You see all like these things, and it's like, but it's because everybody wants it and everybody looks at it and everybody likes it. That's why it keeps showing up. And you're just sort of adding to, at least I'm sort of just adding to it. And then Instagram, because of its algorithm, it's just like, here's some more beautiful things that you may never acquire in your life. Or like, here's things you don't have. Here's the things you don't have constantly. It's like, shit. So that's sort of like my reason for it, because it doesn't seem like you're just doing things for yourself anymore. I guess, long story short, you're never doing things for yourself anymore. You're doing things to appease this binary algorithm just filled with zeros and ones that, some guy coded, and it's like, all right, this works. This is what keeps people engaged on this app, and it just causes a whole bunch of anxiety and depression. So yeah. It sort of feels like we're slaves to these algorithms just to gain attention, to seek out attention, and you're not even sure if it's the attention that you actually wanted. So it makes you feel like, are you being yourself? Are you being like an extension of yourself? Or are you just trying to please these people? So yeah.
Big facts. Big facts. And
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Because I feel your story, because that's almost mirrors my own. Mm-hmm. I'm the type of person where, yes, I do have an Instagram. Yes, I have a Twitter. And I have all these various social media like sites and whatnot. And the one common theme that I notice a lot is a lot of things almost tend to get pushed in front of your face, whether you like it or not. And the weird thing about it is a lot of the things that are pushed in front of your face are almost like things that you actually want, but you can't get. Like for me, instance, I like I take this back. I like Pontiacs. I'm a Pontiac owner, and I have a G8. Mm-hmm. So whoop, whoop. And there's a couple guys that I follow on Instagram. They both own G8s, and they kind of like, put their photos up, and not only do they put their own photos up, but they tag anybody else or anybody else that's on Instagram that has a Pontiac, they tag them to have their pictures uploaded and everything else. And so trying to find like a way and a lighting to get mines featured on any one of those two pages is like, yay. And even then, sometimes it doesn't even happen. So it's like, okay, cool, no big, whatever. But also, I'm a huge fan of Ferrari. I'm a huge fan of Aston Martin. I'm a huge fan of the Lotus. So again, I'm a car guy. But the downside is most of the Lotuses, they're manuals. I don't drive a manual. I don't. I was taught how to, but because of the fact that I'm the type of person where it's like, if I know I'm a burn a clutch later on down the road, I'm not trying to pay that bill. No, I'm not. And even then, like, there's only like one Lotus model that's an automatic. Okay. I know most Ferraris. They're a combination where you have some that are automatic, then you have some that are manual, then you have some that kind of like duo, where it's a combination of automatic and manual. And same thing with Aston Martin. They do have some that are manual, they do have some that are automatic, and then they have some that are a combination of both. And so with that being said, is like I see a lot of these pictures. I'm like, oh, can't wait. Even watching the Grand Prix, it's like, oh, I want to be there so bad, and can't go there because of COVID, and probably the tickets just to get over there is stupid expensive, and I don't got the money for that, But, and again, it's just one of those things that I desire it, sure, but I know I can't get it because I won't necessarily say it's out of reach, but it's not something that I want like as of right now, And even then, like I was saying, trying to get back in shape, and so got videos of these buff guys that are on there. I was like, okay, ill, but I would like that. I don't mind having 6-pack and a chiseled chest and like strong arms and whatnot. Like, I wouldn't mind, but at the same time, it's like a lot of the workouts that they're doing is like, really? Like, you're eating this and doing this to get this, and it's like, do I actually have time to actually do that? And even then, I find myself actually doing some of the exercises, like, yeah, cool. And it's like, but do I actually really want to be like that guy, so to speak? And it's like, you get this weird feeling where it's like, okay, I don't want to be like him. I would like to have like the figure, but I don't want to be like him. And then from there, it's like you get slammed with a bunch of different like random looking guys that are fit and buffed and whatnot. And it's like, this sucks. Like, so in other words, Instagram, you telling me like my dad bod is sucky right now, like, okay, I could probably beat him in a leg race, but that's about it.
Right. Or you can touch your pinky to your ear.
Yeah, at least I can do that. At least, hold on, I'll give you one better. Like, yeah, can you do this? Can you put deodorant on, or you got to do like this and have somebody spray deodorant underneath your arms? Like,
wow, that's a thing. That's so gross. And you can't even wash your whole body. Oh.
Yes. Like, it's like, I don't want to be super big to the point where I can't do the normal things that are like normal, but at least I want to be like fit to the point where it's like, I will feel good about myself, but then again, I don't want to get to the point where I'm cocky and conceited.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bunch. It's a bunch. So slaves to the algorithm sucks. And even those that are stuck in it sucks.
Yeah, because they have to keep up the appearance too. I mean,
yes.
I'm trying to think of anyone that I know who, I mean, like one of my friends from work, well, she no longer works with the company, but like she was, well, she is still like an influencer. Um, I don't know, like she's sort of how she is like online as she is in person, but I feel like I can see how, people might get a different impression of her, because she's actually just like a really cool, chill chick. She's just,
Mm-hmm.
like an influencer. Like, of course, she has to be pretty and, keep up appearances, but she genuinely likes that. But she's a really chill, down to earth chick too. So, I mean, I don't know if she's like famous enough to the point where people recognize her or just like hate on her. I think like she's still, like I guess what they call like a nano influencer, which I think is like, I don't know. Roberto Blake had an episode on his YouTube channel about it was like 1,000 to 10,000 followers on like certain platforms. I was like, what? I'm a nano influencer. I can influence people nanally.
There you go.
So I guess she's like a nano influencer on all her platforms. But so people who follow her and like her, just genuinely like her. And there's not like a bunch of comments or a bunch of nasty shit. Maybe once in a blue moon that happens. But once you start becoming like, like micro, macro, mega influencers, you have to constantly sift through the bullshit, sift through the garbage, and keep up an appearance, keep up a certain, way about you. If, depending on the influencer that you are, like if you're like a fitness influencer, you have to keep up your body. If you're like someone who reviews products, you still have to look good and presentable to the camera. Okay.
All right.
I like Pico. Pico? I don't know Pico. I don't know how you pronounce it. But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know where I was going with it. But yeah, you have to keep like even if you just review tech or products, you still have to keep up an appearance, you have to have good lighting. And that could like be like really self-conscious. Like one of the things I do like about our channel personally is that, I just feel like I could be myself. That's sort of like, home. Like but if I'm on somebody else's live stream or, somebody else's channel, I feel like I have to, put up a little bit. I feel like I have to, represent our channel because most of the time when I'm on other people's live streams or recordings or whatever, but I feel like I have to keep up an appearance to make ourselves look good. So I'm not going to just come in looking like a slouch or looking.
Nice.
So I feel like I can definitely just sort of chill on this channel, which I like. I think this is a one of a kind sort of channel where you feel like you could just it's sort of like my home. People come in and they feel like they could just relax and talk and just sort of let loose, kick off their shoes, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Toby.
So,
why does this thing take so long to unmute? Yeah, agreed to a bunch of that. I guess it's different for me in a way, because I don't really post a lot. Like, in fact, for funsies, I might even post my social media handles on Twitter, like in relation to the stream / comment on the chat. But it's like I really don't post a lot. I don't think I've posted since November 2019. It was October, it was Halloween. I don't think I posted since October 2019. And I remember when I hit a year mark, and I was like, dang, I haven't gone a year without posting. And crazy, it's about to be 2 years because 2021 has flown by so quickly. But I don't really have pressure in that way, but that's part of what does keep me from posting and I post at the right time, because there are times where I've posted like right around midnight, a little after midnight, and it didn't get anywhere near as much traction as like during the day when I post. I even like a McCoy tweet that we sent out last week, a little bit after midnight. I didn't really have any interaction on it until we recently retweeted it, and I was like, dang, it really is like brutal with like the times that people are online and active and that people see things. Like if you post in the nether at like 1 a.m., no one's gonna see this. I mean, stories are a little different because people will see your story anytime, but you still probably want to post it when people are active versus like a story that you post at like 1 or 3 a.m. People aren't gonna start seeing it until maybe 6 hours or like 3 a.m. You're not gonna see it 6-7 hours. So for me, I've not posted in a while, partially because I'm aware of like I just never. I feel like it's so much energy to like curate it properly. Like I was gonna make a post for my birthday, and that post for my birthday is still in my drafts. Mind you, this was March 2nd. So I actually didn't post it. I got the post ready like not even a week though. It was like a few weeks after my birthday, so it was closer to mid-March. I was getting ready to move apartments, so I was busy with that too. But I kept thinking, I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna post this. There's gonna be my birthday was a week ago joke, except now it's been like
3 months almost.
3 months ago. And it's just like, oh, this is so pain. Like, so I'm not necessarily like posting a bunch to keep up. I'm actually pretty content with not posting. And like, I don't even post really like to my stories that much. Like, I love my Instagram fans, like followers and friends, but the app in itself is too destructive to me, I feel like. So I kind of don't get on it. Which is kind of sad because I feel like there's a lot of good content being shared. And there's people like, I know LU sent me like a story and I was like, yeah, I wasn't on this app. And other people will send me like either stories or posts. Sometimes the posts get deleted and I'm like, dang, I'm not interacting with this app the way you're supposed to be like in the know of things and to see things on time. Like when I had Snapchat, I mean, I have Snap, I use Snapchat often, but I used to really be like religious about viewing stories.
There you go.
This
there you
one.
go.
This is it.
Wow.
Hold on.
Show up late to your own birthday that you never.
That is actually hilarious. I'm gonna take a pic of that.
That's how it works.
No, I got it now.
No.
Oh God. So it's just like it's just too much like to really engage with things the way you're supposed to, like be all like on time. Like I feel bad because sometimes when people comment on something, like some people might reply to my tweet, but I won't see it for days later, or I just won't see replies to my tweet. So like there's a certain way you're supposed to engage. I feel like that's also why I don't get as much traction with my Facebook posts and my tweets, because I'm not an active user really. So I'm probably not like I'm not really gonna be highlighted or like pushed to the top of someone's feed because I'm not really like commenting and liking and doing other people's things, except in like my bursts of like I'm on the app now, I'm like on a burst. But I like when I say like Instagram or YouTube or Twitter is like more destructive, it's like I go into these spirals, so I don't really like look at a lot of people's stuff broadly. It's more like I look at something and then you have the comments, you look at the comments, you see all the top ones. I might like look at the comments of those comments. I might see someone's profile that looks kind of interesting, and now I'm on some person I don't even know on their profile. And if their profile is public, they might have stories, and I look at those stories, and then you have a post, and then this just recursively keeps going, and just doesn't stop. So I'm like, how did I get like 10 levels away from the original post that I was looking at from my actual friend to some person's profile I don't know? Now I'm on some meme page, or there's some argument in the comments. There's all this stuff. So in that way, that's more of the algorithm that like has really negatively affected me, and I get into these pretty bad spirals. Like it's like depth, and it's like depth. It's like these depth spirals that like I feel like I'm hooked and I just can't get out. So I don't really necessarily use the app in a way where I'm posting at the right time and I'm like I feel very like a slave in that way, but it's more of a slave to like sometimes I just feel like, man, I can't get out. Like why am I on this person's profile? Like you feel like you have to like, even if it's someone I don't know and they have a story, I'll try to like watch the whole story because it just feels like not right to like see that circle, the circle that's there. It's like I have to, but then it's just like there's 20 things on the story. Each of them is like a post or a video, and now I'm just like, I hate this so much, and I really do not enjoy. Like a lot of times, I don't enjoy using Instagram because it just feels way too consuming and overwhelming. But Facebook, Facebook is not as bad. Like it used to be bad, and like there was a point where a lot of the stuff I saw on Facebook was more from like random meme pages and groups. So I would have the same problem of going on a Facebook thing. You go to the comments and the sub comments. I might go to someone's profile. Now I'm on a whole thing. Now though, it shows you more personal things, or at least groups that you interact with. So I don't really get stuck on Facebook as much. But yeah, the algorithms are nasty. Like, at least for me, I feel like I, in some ways, have a bit of an addictive personality. Not really when it comes to, like I never had an issue with like alcohol and stuff like that. But when it comes to social media and using some things, even Snapchat, which isn't as immersive, I feel like I had to like watch everyone's story all the way, even people who I didn't know that well. And it just felt like I always had to like keep in mind certain times that people posted so that I could go back and watch the story and not let the 24 hours pass. This is like 2016, 2017. Now, like I have too many people I feel like who I follow on Snap, and I don't even bother to, like, I just know there's no way I'm going to watch all this. And I used to feel really bad, like, oh my God, I missed this. This is a good friend. And now I've kind of like let loose, like, or like let that go of like, we have our own lives. I can't see everything all the time. Like, I'm sorry, Instagram, if you're on Instagram, I really, because of this app and the way it is, I just avoid it at like all costs for weeks at a time if I can. I don't even, maybe not weeks at a time, but if I get on, I have to be very mindful and intentional of how I'm using it. Get in and get out, which is the reason why I end up like just not reading people's messages and stuff for a long time. I would say that the other app that's like I have had a problem with, but I haven't used it for nearly as long as TikTok. And TikTok definitely has more of the randomness because like the whole thing about TikTok is like just random viral stuff. So you see comments or you see random people like posting, and there's funny things. I might look at someone's TikTok profile and the spiral can go, but it's not usually. Actually, no, it can be a lot sometimes, but I'm not on the app nearly as much. But I will say, like, for also hilarious, I just saw the depth first search comment, and that's 100% actually how I think of it. Like, for those who are not that, whoever's watching it, if you're not as versed in computer and algorithm stuff, breadth first search is just a way that you're looking for something top level at a time. While depth first search, you kind of go very deep. Like if you're trying to solve a maze, you're going to go deep into the maze until you can't go anymore. Versus breadth first search is a much more, you just search things at the top level, and then you search the next thing at the next level, and the next thing at the next level. And so with social media, I would much prefer to do things at a breadth level where I can see a lot of people who I know, stuff, their posts, their stories. Like I never scroll through my feed because again, I see a post and most likely I'm going to get stuck on whatever's there. So I would much more prefer to see a lot of posts. That's actually how I interact with Facebook. I go on Facebook and I see people get engaged. Now it's graduation. It's crazy. Every time I go on Facebook, it's like everything is some big life event. Someone got a job.
Yeah, I know. It drives me insane because it'll be like, oh, you remember that guy who lived in the dorm next to you in college freshman year? You're like, kind of? Well, he's engaged. I'm like, okay, thanks, Facebook. I don't care to know. But sometimes it reminds me to just hide these people from my feed. Because honestly, it's just because after engagement comes marriage, and they have all those fucking pictures. It'll be like 400 likes or whatever. They'll just be constantly showing up all these congratulations comments. I'll be like, oh yeah, I think I know this person. We're mutual friends. That's what shows up. And then there'll be like baby pictures. Like you might as well just hide the person from the feed. I hide people from my feed quite often. And it's just sort of, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm tired of this person, and I just hide them from my feed. Or it's like, I really don't give a fuck about this person, so I just hide them from my feed. Because, yeah, it's my feed, it's my social media. It's not like we're constantly contacting each other. It's not. They react to my stories occasionally, and then I react to theirs occasionally. So I don't think they're going to notice if I never react to it. It might take them a while because they're probably, like, I don't know how your Instagram DMs are, but when somebody reacts to your post and it goes to your DMs, and then, the person you message occasionally or react to occasionally, their message gets way down. You don't really scroll down as far. And it's the same thing with like online dating too. Sometimes some guy's message will be like all the way down that you don't even remember. When they get upset, it's like, sorry, you're like 23 guys down. It's too much scrolling. But anyway, yeah. So like, I tend to just like hide people on Facebook, mute people on Instagram. Sometimes I feel bad, but then I forget about them because I muted them. So it's like I don't remember.
Heyo.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
So
Yeah. So
Yes. Yes.
But I won't lie. Sometimes I mute people because I don't know if it's just jealousy or if it's like an annoyance almost, because sometimes you don't see these people post or do anything for weeks, months, nothing, and then all of a sudden you start seeing them and they're like in Jamaica, they're on vacation doing stuff, and there's people who literally just post when they're on vacation. Like, I won't lie, like one of my brothers is like that, and if he wasn't my brother, I would have muted him. I would have hit him. It's like, you only post when you're doing stuff. But yeah, and it really just puts you in a weird mood, in a weird state. For me, it's only for a moment, but it's still a moment that I can't get back. Now I'm just upset. I'm like, oh, they're doing something cool that I wish I was doing. Yeah. And then you have to then you go on to maybe another app and you totally forget about that. But you're still not 100%. At least you still have to, you're cool at first, and then like your equilibrium, your happiness kind of goes down. And then you switch on to something else because now you're upset. And then you try to do something kind of bring you back up. But sometimes none of the social medias can help you. Sometimes you go to another social media. Like, let's say I'm on Instagram and I see somebody on vacation. I'm like, oh, let me go onto Twitter. Oh, a whole bunch of political bullshit. Oh, let's go down even further. And then I'm like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know why we punish ourselves.
yeah, the jumping from social media to social media thing is interesting too. Like I guess because I get so stuck on one that it's hard. But like there were the points where it's kind of like you get tired of this, so you jump to this. I've been with friends and I've observed their patterns where like I actually could see well that they would like, because some of them would turn notifications off. So that's an interesting thing to talk about, is how you sort of manage alerts and things. So they would not have notifications on their phone, at least for social media. So they would manually go into their apps and they would cycle through. And then it seems like they kind of finished and they're just looking at some of the same people, doing the same things. And it's just like, okay, now we're back at square one, I guess. And I was like, that's interesting. Mine is much more haphazard. I don't really cycle because, again, I'm on something and it hooked me, but I actually don't spend a lot of time on social media, even though I post a lot. Like, if you see my Facebook, I post a lot of articles, and I've been putting a lot of puns in my articles too. But like, that's kind of like my cathartic release, is like doing something kind of clever or witty. In Snapchat, I used to also do things. Oh, a big thing I used to do too was with memories. So kind of related, but like Facebook memories, I would always post like every single day religiously. But the problem is you have memories from every year before. So I would do this in 2016, 2017, and I would always get roasted. Like, my friends knew that I would post the memories. I would roast myself in the memories. So something I posted from 2011, it's just like, boy, what are you talking about? Or like, I would post something about bragging about having a 4.0 GPA, and I was like, if you don't get your arrogant, or just, I would post stuff like that. It was funny, but like at the same time, it was definitely an obsession where I would have to every day try to like find all my memories and post all of them, even if there weren't ones that I found very interesting or were just kind of weird things that I posted. Like, some things that might have been low-key problematic, and I'm just like, I have to post this anyway because I have to like post every memory I've ever done. I didn't really succeed, but I posted quite a lot. And so that was like another very like, it felt like enslaving thing. Like, but again, I haven't really posted memories consistently in a few years now. Then Snapchat had memories and it was game over. But Snapchat memories aren't as bad because Snapchat is a newer platform. Memories are a much newer thing. Even like saving a snap to your saving a snap to. So it's weird because Snapchat has something called memories, which is just in general saving a snap to like your internal, like, you know, like you save it for late. You could save it and go back in time later. But then you also have like the on this day feature that shows you every snap you've had on this day, which is equivalent to Facebook memories. But Snap memories is broader. But the point is that like I used to do that a lot as well. But I think some point by the time the fall of last year came around, I just lost like it was too much time to like go through and like post all my snaps, which again is more manageable than Facebook in a way. But a lot of times you have like long snap stories if you go to an event. And again, it was very fun. It was kind of cathartic to look back and like make new commentary and kind of like have like I'm just like people watching this are gonna be so confused. But for myself, it kind of creates this like fun little like review, but it can be a lot to keep up with. So that's actually something I didn't think about. So I'm glad that that came up. The last thing I was gonna say, which was related to what I was talking about on TikTok, but I have like 4 drafts of things I haven't posted from TikTok. Some of them are maybe one was around for my birthday. One was definitely before I moved, so it may have been late March. I think it was the weekend that I was moving. I started recording one, and I was just like, "This is gonna be so good!" Like I have all these ideas and like sketches slash. I've talked to you a little bit about how like I was been interested in comedy. And I've probably mentioned it on the stream. So I'm like, I have all these sketches and ideas, but again, it feels like when will I post them? When's the right time? I feel too like this isn't ready to be released. So it feels very much like, again, the algorithm is the algorithm is just like I overthink it because I overthink in general. So I'm just like, when is the right time to post? And then if I post, am I going to be posting enough and consistently? So that can get kind of weird. Like you look at other people's, a lot of actually my friends who are on TikTok, they don't have very fancy, like they're not very fancy with it. Like the way Instagram is super curated, a lot of my personal friends, their TikToks are just pretty casual. So that gives me some like hope too that I don't have to be a super TikTok influencer type of style because people use really like they use some of the most fancy filters and they have like really good ways of lighting. Like you said, like you have lighting, you have the time, and I'm just like, that's a lot. So the fact that a lot of my friends who I see on TikTok don't really post the most like crazy curated things gives me hope actually. But for Instagram, it's just a lot. Like Instagram, like you said, people with the nice, whether it's the shoes, the car, they have everything so slick. Yeah. I'm like, my hair's not really done. So, like I'm not like I get really self-conscious about that kind of stuff. Even when I recorded that one TikTok that I kept in my drafts, I like combed my hair out. I literally like rinsed, like just made my hair wet, combed it out, made sure my shirt was nice because I was like, ugh, I don't want to be looking crazy because I feel like everyone is so photogenic on these things. So
yeah, I know, and it's so intimidating because sometimes like. You know, I really take pride in like people. So I feel like I relate to it more so where it's just people who are just looking kind of normal. Like one thing, you know, I've been like really kind of self-conscious about is like my edges because like I feel like every Black woman on the internet just has these like flat edges and, you know, everyone's just complimenting them on like their edges laid and, you know, they don't have a hair out of place, these Black women, and yeah, like it could just be so intimidating because, you know, like, you know, it makes you wonder, like, is something wrong with me? Is this what the people want? Especially from just being at home for an entire year and, you know, not really having like a support group, not really like a support system rather at home where, you know, someone's just like, fine with who you are and who you choose to be. It's mostly like, oh, it's like, oh, you know, you always look the same. Like, I feel like, and I'm sure men are like this too, so I might be a little sexist when I say this, but I feel like you can only say this to women and it's an insult where it's like, Oh, I don't know. Every time I see you, you just look the same. You just look and I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like cut off somebody's face and put it on mine? Like how? Like what do you want me
Ouch,
to do?
man.
South Africa.
It's gonna be like Arya Stark. It's like, how different you want me to look? It's like you always got your hair down, you never gonna put it up, and I'm like, yeah, because I don't really go anywhere that's serious. It's like I'm going to the grocery store. Like, how nice do you want me to look? I'm going to like my sister's, huh?
Like, I'm gonna go get some Starbucks. Like, okay.
Yeah, but I won't lie, like especially in South Florida. And Ron, I don't know if you noticed this while when you were down here, but women dress up even for like the smallest.
Whoa, I got stories about that one. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, especially because you're in Miami too, so that must have been more. I mean, it's the same in Broward County as well. West Palm, it's a little bit lax, Palm Beach County rather, but yeah, Palm Beach County is definitely a lot more lax. But it's definitely Broward and Miami-Dade. It's you just go to a brewery and then you see someone with like these really like these blouses that you probably see at the club, and I'm like, we're at a brewery, man. Like you're supposed to be sort of, I don't want to say slumming it, but you're at there's nothing to really do here except drink beer, and like watch sports maybe. Like, why are you dressed up? But like it's just weird. So, but I feel like as a woman, it's like, oh, you always look the same, and I'm like, I'm not really going anywhere crazy. Like, yeah, if I was going on a date, yeah, I'd dress up. If I was going, to like a rooftop lounge, I would dress up, yeah. But to like normal places, I'm not really dressing up. But I feel like with and I feel like also, I think Instagram definitely has a huge influence on South Florida because of our beaches, and we're always known for being like some of the most beautiful people in the world. Not to like toot my own horn, but that's what the fucking articles say. And so I feel like there's like a huge influence to always just look really, really nice and things like that. So it's always very intimidating because you're not really thinking about it, but then sometimes you feel underdressed at places where everyone should just not be dressed up. So there's that, and you're like, well, pretty much what you see on Instagram is like what I see in real life too. So I'm getting it at both ends. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah,
That sucks.
It does.
And and it's funny how you brought up like how people just kind of like overdress. Is like being in Miami for like the weekend. It was crazy. It was crazy. Me personally, I felt as though I felt like a bum because like I had a hood, not even a hoodie. Actually, yeah, I had on a hoodie. I took the hoodie off, and then my beater was like, I got shot up a few times with a BB gun, and I had on my black dicky pants and whatnot. Yes. Oh man. I felt in comparison to everybody else, it was like, yeah, we finna go to the club and it's like 90 some odd degrees. I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to stay cool and comfortable, and even the conference I went to for the like 2 days, I kid you not. I had I had a change of clothes. I think the most I kind of dressed up was on the last day because the last day it was like more so like business casual. I'm like, okay, cool, great, no big deal, right, wrong. Oh man. It was one of those things where I was like, yeah, I dressed nice. It was cool. It was great. But everybody else is kind of like dressing up like, yeah, we finna go to the club. And like there was girls on the field at the Hard Rock Stadium field, rocking heels that could have been in the club. I'm like, y'all walking on grass. Y'all ankles must be strong. Y'all got some strong ankles.
You don't know how many times I see women like around the like not on in the sand, but like along the boardwalk by the beach, in heels. And I'm like, it's so sandy here. You're gonna slip. You're in fucking stilettos. You look great. I'm not, I'm not like you have a great outfit. Your outfit's banging. You look good. But like, it's dangerous.
What he said.
No, like it can be a little unnerving because it's just everywhere. Like I went running on the not on the beach, but like along the beach, like on the boardwalk, with my trainer a few weeks ago, and like my trainer, like he's hot, of course, and but it was sort of nice. Like we're just like sitting chilling after our run, and it was just sort of nice that we saw like a woman walking in her heels, and he was like, "Where is she going with her heels?" And I was like, "Oh, thank God," because I'm sitting here wondering, am I supposed to be wearing heels everywhere I go? But, it's a little reassuring, as sad and as this may sound. Like it's sort of reassuring when like a guy you're attracted to, like an attractive man you're attracted to, like kind of shares her sentiments and something. So I'm like, okay. Now I don't feel like I gotta fucking wear heels at the beach. Then again, she was like the only one wearing heels. But still, like you always just see that.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of, it's weird because I know here in Michigan we got beaches, and there's like very rarely will I see anybody wear heels at the beach. Like very rarely. I could understand if it was like a wedge sandal. I could understand that, like, sure, I got you. But like an actual stiletto, like, who are you trying to impress?
Right.
For two, do you have some strong cankles? And for three, do you have good medical insurance to the point where if you slip and you twist your ankle, you're gonna get all right? Like, come on.
I don't know if in Michigan you have like, I'm sure you do like bars and stuff along the beaches. Yeah, so like that's pretty much like also what South Florida, like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, all South Florida is kind of known for, just having restaurants and bars and clubs. Kind of trying to remember. I'm sure there's clubs near the beach, especially South Beach. Of course they do. Like along the beach. So I understand like if you're going to the club. But once you hit sand, if you're on a sidewalk or if you're even walking in the street, getting close east enough to the beach, take off your shoes. I know it's kind of gross to walk around barefoot, but it's a lot safer, especially when there's sand on the ground. That's really sand. Like sand is very slippery. Even like especially when it's like sand is slippery.
Yes. Yes. And not only is sand slippery, sand is hard to get rid of. It's like roaches. Yeah. Sand is like roaches. It is hard to get rid of. And once you think you got rid of it, no, you're gonna find some sand in some place weird.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
That's one of the reasons why I don't go to the beach. And I really do enjoy the beach. You gotta get like some sort of like sand removers and stuff like that. But no, there's sand. It's like it's nature's glitter. But yeah. So it's like I feel like I just live in an algorithm, and and also like of course like I live with my mom, and she's like Jamaican, and like something and with Caribbeans, like especially Caribbean women. There's always that expectation of like their kids, especially like their daughter. So I'm a very like relaxed daughter. I'm very chill. I'm very, kind of just like laid back. So I'm not really trying to like, try to get all done. Like I don't think I've worn makeup on the stream ever. Like I wear makeup occasionally, only like on a special occasion, but very rarely. And yeah, but sometimes my mom's like, "Oh, you should put on some makeup." I'm like, "Why?" Like, just to go on a meeting at work, on my computer, and then not use the camera because I just don't feel like being on camera. Like to go pick up, I don't know, like an Amazon package from my doorstep. What am I wearing makeup for? It's like, oh, you got to wear it for yourself. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I do. I don't know. Still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, man. Speaking of, actually, it's funny because I remember a while back you brought up Facebook and how you kind of how you had to kind of block or mute some things on posts. I stopped getting on Facebook completely because of that. It was like a lot of the stuff that's been popping up, I'm like, I don't care about. Like, I don't, And then it got to the point where it was like, I almost felt as though I had to compete to get on a different level, to get on that level. And it was like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I stressing myself out? What is me trying to reach to the position or the place that you're at going to do for me and mine? Nothing. And so I tell people all the time, like, look, I got a Facebook account. I just don't use it because by me logging into my Facebook account, it's leading me back into the reason why I should have deleted it in the first place and why I don't have the actual Facebook app. The only time I'm on there is for family and friends because a lot of them, they have Facebook, and that's pretty much the only way we can kind of stay in contact with one another because anything outside of Facebook, they don't even want to deal with. And I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, if you send me a friend request, it may be a week or two, maybe a month before I get it. Because I'm going to get the email notifications telling me, letting me know, like, hey, so-and-so wants to be your friend. Like, okay, I'll get to it when I can. And it could be, like I said, 2-3 weeks down the line. Then when I finally decide I want to get on Facebook just to see what I didn't miss, you got to go ahead and answer those friend requests and then notifications and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I'm like, I'm straight. It reminds me like, yeah, you don't want to do this. Like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So I like mental health day for me, stay off of Facebook as much as possible.
I used to, Toby, did you want to say something? You can go. You haven't spoken in a while.
No, I was just kind of nodding along. I don't know specifically. Like, I have a bunch of different apps. Like, Facebook is the one that I actually am okay with because, again, I usually just use it to share, articles. I don't really post life updates. Like, there was actually a while that I was very, very secretive about what I was doing because, like, I was leaving Maryland to go to upstate New York for grad school. And then, like, I was there. People knew I was there, but I didn't often post all the time when I was home because I just didn't want to run into certain people when I was home and other things. I don't know. It was just a lot. Like, going through, 4 years of high school and 4 years of college. And then, like, it kind of ended in some ways. I didn't really give people proper closure in some ways in terms of just, like, I graduated. People knew I was graduating in 2016. But it was kind of weird. So, like, Facebook, I would post a lot of things, like memories and jokes, but I didn't really post about my whereabouts. Or if I did, it was when I traveled for other reasons, but not when I was home. So, Facebook, like, I ended up actually becoming more comfortable, like, sharing stuff again, but, like, after some years. But, the other big thing was when I graduated from grad school, I didn't really finish the program I intended to finish. So it ended up sort of being like, it's hard to, like, I didn't want to, like, I don't know, I felt like I had failed in some way. So I didn't want to, like, post what I was really doing, which would mean I had a job. Like, I have a whole full-time job with a master's, which is really good, actually. But in the moment, I was like, I was supposed to get a PhD, and I didn't get it, and I failed everybody. So I was like not like posting the specifics of what I was doing. Like my Snapchat, people would see everything. Like if you were on my Snap, people would see it. And people would ask questions like, wait a second, did you graduate? Or wait a second, are you doing an internship? Like, wait, what's happening? Why are you in Boston? And I was like, yeah, I finished my master's, but I was not really like super upfront about it until like a few months after I moved. So I moved January 2019. And I think in like May or so, I had like a big Instagram post about like, you know, like with pictures from from like just taking whatever, like in my cap and gown. And I was like, yeah, so this is the life update, you know, and I kind of even mentioned in that caption, like, I didn't really want to post this because I felt like I was letting people down or whatever, people who were looking up to me, who also wanted to go to grad school and other stuff. So it kind of felt like that's the other thing was like people are doing so much. Like a lot of people post like their accomplishments or like they got into a program or they graduated. I have friends who just got their PhDs during a pandemic. Like I know a lot of like academics, especially like Black academics, Black grad students, and so it's interesting that like now I feel more comfortable in a way. I don't post a lot of life updates though, because I feel like I don't have that many. I've just been working, but there was a point where I didn't even want to really post a lot of these updates because I feel like now time, you know, you move on. Things aren't as like raw as they were at the time with all the different emotions going on. And the other thing is like, if there's a lot of like Instagram is actually one that I feel weird posting on because if I have like a lot of unread messages or like things that like I could easily get like 13 unread messages, 10 unread messages just because people comment on stories. I don't get to see everything. I'm not on the app a lot. So I feel like, oh, if I post something to my story and I have like let someone on delivered for like 5 days or a week, I feel like this is just so bad. And I feel like I can't post. I have to be completely absent. So I feel almost like I would feel bad for posting things. Same thing on Snap. Like if I hadn't responded to someone in a while, yet I post something anyway, I just felt like it was going to look bad. So in a way, I was almost like a slave of like people's thoughts or opinions on me or expectations. So like I use all these different platforms, but I can sometimes feel like maybe like I almost have to say like disclaimer, I've not responded to a ton of people. No one feel bad like specifically, or I'll get back to y'all. Like sometimes I've done that where I've taken like a screenshot of the number of like unread things. Like I think even when the whole George Floyd, like, you know, when George Floyd was murdered, I had like so many unread messages, like texts and other things where I just was like, I'm not looking at any of this right now. I'm not looking at Facebook. I'm not like I was on Twitter a lot, unfortunately, looking at so much like footage of protests, and that was a whole nother mess of a thing. But when it came to personal interactions, I was just like, I need to cool for a bit. It's going to be very overwhelming to like keep up with everyone. So I sent a few blasts out on Snapchat, on Facebook, and I was just like, if you need me, I'll eventually get back to you. But right now, I'm not trying to look too much at, you know, certain. So I did like the worst thing though. I didn't like keep up with messages, but I somehow got sucked into like the spiral of like Twitter and Instagram. Except this was not like random. It was specifically all about the protests. So that was kind of like a lot of tangents there. But you know, I feel comfortable with some of these platforms, but it can be very like awkward sometimes where I feel like people are watching you and they know like, you know, I sent you a message and you haven't responded. And they don't say that explicitly, but I kind of have that conversation to myself. So even on Instagram now, I was like, I haven't really like shared because I usually like promote the McCoy stream on pretty much all my social media, but I actually hadn't posted. Probably now this will be the third week that I haven't posted on my personal Instagram about McCoy because I feel like it's just so much going on there. And if I post something when I haven't like gotten back to other people, it's just like I feel so like almost like guilty or like that people will feel some type of way. So that's my like brain barf of some of the anxiety that I get when using some of these things. Even though I can use all the platforms, it's just that I feel like I have to navigate certain dynamics depending on the platform. So
I hear you. I've definitely felt that way too, especially, you know, I want to say my younger years. When in reality, it's just my earlier 20s, early teens as well, where somebody would message me and it's like, shit, can I say something on on Facebook, and they're gonna see it and know that I didn't even bother responding to their thing. I left them on read, but I don't know. I just slowly stopped caring. There are times when that feeling does kind of creep up. I can't exactly remember when, but like sometimes that feeling still creeps up and like, oh, I had to get back to this person and I'm, like writing a tweet. I'm like, oh, I gotta post this thing before it escapes my head. Because I guess at the end of the day, I'm still trying to just like promote myself in a way. I guess for whatever it is I'm trying to do, whether it's comedy or trying to start something. Lately, I've just been so busy that I haven't really been posting much of anything. I was going to say that Facebook used to be like my biggest social media thing. And I think that's how it was for everybody. I was kind of like, I feel like social media is sort of the gateway drug to all social medias. So, I used to be like heavily on Facebook, like posting all, like, I don't want to say all the time, but, quite often. And I would try to post at certain times, word things differently to see what would gauge the most attention. This was like back in college. And it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun sort of playing around with it. This was back in the day when the Facebook went in chronological order. So it wasn't like, you go on Facebook and you see a post from like 6 days ago, and then the next post is from 3 minutes ago. Then the next post is from like 2 hours ago, sort of crap that they started doing, which I freaking hate. Instagram, I think, does something like that too. I guess one of the things I like about Twitter is that it's more chronological, so it makes a little bit more sense. Like, oh, if I miss something, then I miss something. I don't really feel like I missed anything if I'm not on Twitter for a while. But yeah. So yes, I used to be like very heavily on Facebook trying to figure things out and having fun with the whole social media aspect and being able to pretty much express myself for the first time. Oh, the website Black Pamphlet? Yeah.
I don't know it, but I remember it got mentioned on some stream where we were talking about I don't remember what the topic was, but we ended up talking about like old social media, I don't remember, and I was just like, I don't know what this is. But I've heard of it now because it was mentioned sometime like last year or maybe even early this year.
Remember blackpeoplemeet.com?
Black People Meet? Yeah.
I never used Black, but like, I would have friends who would, sort of just talk, like, mention to me about it or something. It was just kind of funny. I don't know, Black People Meet. But, because, like, the commercial would come on so much. I think during, like, Adult Swim. I think it would come on so often.
Yeah. Demon Time. Actually, it's funny because some years ago, I don't want to say this. I'm gonna just say it anyways. Some years ago, me and the missus, we did a social experiment, and Black Social Meet was one of the sites that we went on to do this experiment. And when I tell you it is not worth it, Black People Meet, it is no. It's like, come on, y'all. There's got to be somebody that's running the show that's updating this thing. I mean, even Black Planet, like, come on. That thing you could tell it has not been updated since Kingdom Come. Like, for real? Like,
it's still on the interwebs. I guess it's sort of like Space Jam. It's sort of like I don't know, like a pause in time, sort of like, I don't know, like seeing an ancient relic.
Oh no, it wasn't embarrassing. I'll put it to you like this. Black People Meet, and this is how you know the algorithm is jacked up, especially when it comes to like the app portion. It hyped everything up. Like it hyped everything up way too much. Like, yeah, you can meet, black people in your area and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, shoot, whatever, let's do it. And so log in, put in credentials and everything else. And it was nothing than advertised. If I could sue for false advertisement, I would have sued for false advertisement. The app was glitchy. The people was not even real. It don't feel like it was talking to like a bunch of robots. And like, hold on, here's the kicker. The matches were like hundreds of miles away. And it's like, for real? Like, no.
That's how I've been feeling on Hinge lately. I mean, like, they're not hundreds of miles away, but I mean, they're sometimes in like Miami, which feels like hundreds of miles away. Oh,
man, yes, that part. Yes, they did, and again, it was all because they wanted to entice people to come and blow this thing up. I was like, it's not even worth it. No, I mean, the one thing I could give Black Planet, they've tried. Okay, they've tried. It has a very active community base, and a lot of the conversations that I've had on there were very in depth. Very much in depth. But again, if you would have said, "Hey, did you ever meet somebody from there?" Oh, heck no. Like a lot of the people, again, they lived hundreds upon hundreds of miles away. I think the one person that I met, we're friends on Facebook, but other than that, we don't talk like at all. I mean, she might post something, I might click, like, that's it. Anything else outside of that? Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. The app is glitchy. The app was glitchy. Website was even glitchier. Like the same 3 people for like 2 years ago is still the top members. Like, how? You mean to tell me out of all of the so-called million users that are on here, you still got the same top 3 from like 3 years ago? Like, get out of here. Like, who was running the show? Like, please. Nah. I was disappointed. Even though, yeah, like I said, don't get me wrong, the people on there were cool, but nah.
Mm-mm.
Nah. They need help big time. So if whoever's watching this that's like a developer or somebody, please go help these Black social media sites out for real. Please help them. They need it.
They all do. I feel like BLK,
that's the popular one.
It's like a Black Tinder. I used it like a little. Like I went to this class in downtown. It's not really like downtown Miami, but it's in Miami, and we had to like download dating apps. It was a Valentine's Day. It was like a Valentine's Day themed coding class, and I downloaded BLK, and it was just like it was exactly like Tinder, just Black people, and it was actually pretty well done. But I think it's because I just copied something that worked, which was Tinder. I was like, yeah, this works. It does what it needs to do. I like the name too. BLK. There was another one called Soul Swipe. I never used it, but I'm like, sometimes I feel with Black-centered communities and apps or websites, it could be like soul, like like Black something, crown, king, queen. Like they use like this terminology, and it's just to me, it's a little like it turns me off a bit. I don't speak for everyone, of course not. But to me, like, if it was like Queen and Kings Connect, I wouldn't use that. Like, it's like, oh, this is too much. But BLK, I like the name. I knew what it was, and it wasn't so. It was just like, yeah, if you just want to, like meet Black people because you're probably, feel like you're being shafted on the other dating apps. Like, yeah, I totally get that. That's to me how it felt. It seemed a lot more low key and just here's an alternative rather than, something that's, just to me just like overtly loud for no reason. For the thing. Not like there's anything wrong with it. If that's your jam, that's your jam. That's just not mine personally.
So you're not a what person?
Like a person who's very, like my vernacular, I don't normally just call Black men kings.
Oh, gotcha.
Queens, sort of thing. But if that's your jam, that's your jam. But,
yeah.
King and Queens Connect would be a pretty cool name for a dating app, whoever's listening. Like Crown Connect. Crowns Connect. Not too bad.
Has a nice little ring to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something that Sample said.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Sample.
Yeah, Sample came in. Oh, I didn't even see the second comment Sample said.
Yeah. You were saying the first one was, "This is what I've been learning about all today." Your title. I realize we're spending so much time on our stuff. We're slaves to it. Yeah. So much so that the elites have an AI analyzing our every move, not for security or spying, but to emulate humans for future robots.
Yeah, that is true. That is definitely part of it, to definitely figure you out and try to do more ad targeting. Like market targeting, ad targeting, and also to emulate humans for future robots in terms of, trying to figure us out, which is sort of crazy. But I guess they need to do that in order to create, the best targeted ad. Like if you ever watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, how they're pretty much just creating an avatar of you and, trying to figure you out. Like I'm sure, Amazon knows that I'm on this YouTube channel, and like Amazon has jack shit all to do with this. So it's just sort of crazy to think, but it's not like Amazon really targets me with, like podcasts, like technology, like hardware or anything. I'm sure it will now because my phone is right here with me, it's probably listening. So it's like Prime Day is up. Do you want to, get some tech equipment, some sound equipment? I don't get it. A cubicle with a screen. Do you mean like the bike with the screen with where the episode where Daniel Kaluuya was in?
Oh yeah.
The whole season? Where we were in a cubicle with a screen. I'm trying to remember if it's a different episode. Or there was that episode with I forgot the name of the actress, but I think it was like season 3, episode 1, where everybody was like on a rating scale. And, you had to be like really cool and great and perfect, kind of like what's happening now with Instagram. I don't even know what star rating I would be, out of 5, according to Instagram, I'd probably be like a 2.8.
Oh, you're talking about where you rate people.
Yeah,
Yeah, that episode was, it was just crazy to see like the degradation, like the desperation as the episode went on. It's really messed up stuff. Like there actually was an app called People. Like I think God it never launched, but I think it was called like People, like with PEEP, where basically you could rate people in real life that for I guess anything. Like it's more like you leave reviews of people that you've interacted with, and so I guess you can give their first, last name, and other info. And they were supposed to have ways of preventing harassment. But I just remember seeing, like, whenever I would see posts about this, because I don't remember what platform they were posting this on, but it must have been something that had dislikes. Maybe it was YouTube, where they would put videos on it. It wasn't Reddit, because I didn't really use Reddit like that, but I would just see so many dislikes on these things, and so many people saying this is a horrible idea. Like I have to look it up again, but I'm gonna see it right now. But people, and it was supposed to be like the free portable global reputation for all. So it says it's a mobile app that allows people to leave recommendations for other people based on professional, personal, and romantic relationships. But I don't remember if it actually wait a second. So apparently, I don't remember if it really ever launched, but it's funny because Black Mirror came out in October 21st, 2016. And okay, so apparently it was announced in 2015 October, and the creators launched a watered down version in 2016 March. And now it says many critics noted the similarity, but I never actually looked at this app again. Like I never really like followed up with it. But I don't really know I don't really know what they ended up doing with it. But basically people were saying this is gonna be like super full of harassment. Apparently it was going to be a Yelp for people, like a Yelp for literal human beings. So yeah, I'm going to send the wiki article, but it's that. So that's like social media gone very wrong.
That would have been so bad. Like, I won't lie, I've thought about it because it kind of comes to your head when you're on dating apps and you match with somebody and you're sitting there talking to them and it's like, man, I wish I could rate this guy and be like, oh, he sucks at, conversation. He is blah, 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 or, 2 out of 5 would not recommend. But and I know that's fucked up. I'd be lying if it's never crossed my mind to make something like that. And I think we think that because, this is just a society that we live in. Allows people to rate other people. Oh, man.
Yeah, chat's been lit today.
Yeah, definitely.
Chat's been lit today. I mean, sheesh. There's so many questions that flew out, and it's like, man, I think the one thing that if anybody that watches this later on, who's watching this, the takeaway is the simple fact of the matter of no matter what happens in this lifetime or in the next one, that you got to kind of be careful of one, what you watch, two, what you feed into, and three, how's it shape you as an individual? Because I think DJ Elfie made a good point. He was saying, like, could somebody program my personality? And it's like, I don't think they could, because like
Go on.
No,
Finish it up.
I would say like if they were trying to program my personality, I don't think they could do that, because for one, they haven't been with me, or they haven't seen all like the dark times I've been through in order for my personality to be what it is now. And even if they try to like to simulate it in one weird way or another, which is possibly possible, it really wouldn't be fully authentic, because it's like it's made up. It's made up. And it's like you're gonna have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4 different like versions in order for you to try to remotely get to the right one. And it's like, and even then, it still isn't going to be like the original. Like, case in point, I watched Gemini Man like over the weekend. My daughter said she never saw it. She's like, you know, can we watch it? Like, yeah, sure, whatever. You know, and of course, you had Will Smith. He was, of course, the main character. But then his younger self, which reminded me a lot like his Fresh Prince days and whatnot. You know, he was going against him, and he was like, you know, dude, you're not real for one. Like, you're a copy of me. So it's like, so even though yes, they done trained you to do this, that, and the third, like, I know you because you're me, and because you're me, I know your every move. I know your tendencies. I know more about you than you know about yourself. You know, and so as the movie goes on and whatnot, you know, the other finally kind of realized what he was talking about. And then on top of that, there's another that comes in and it's like, for what? You know, and even then, it just gets to the point where it's like the original, no matter how flawed, how broken it might be, and whatnot, the original is always going to be the better one because it's the original. It's the most authentic that you're going to get it. Any copy that you try to make off the original, it's not really going to be the same because you're still going to manufacture a missing component to make it quote unquote perfect, but you know you're going to have to make another one to replace that one because there's going to be something that's going to be flawed that over time is going to get exposed. And so rather than deal with the exposure, you scrap that one and you redo it again and you try to get it right as much as you can, but at the same time it's like you never will. Why? Because of course you have a human who's a human programming the program to make this another copy, and it's like, come on, chill. Chill. So those are my thoughts.
I do think it's possible to probably program somebody's personality. We are creatures of habit. We're already, you know, slaves to algorithms as it is. So algorithms are pretty much like seeing patterns and then making predictions based off of those patterns. Of course, they're not always correct, and humans aren't always correct either. One thing I do notice is that, you know, from my years of using Reddit, from, you know, like 2011 to now, so almost 10 years, I have noticed that back in the day, you can tell who a troll was because they were trolling on purpose. Not too many people were on Reddit at the time, and you know, you could always sort of tell, and they were joking, or you know, the troll will get downvoted to all oblivion, and it'll just sort of go away, and you know, just go on about life, or they would, you know, learn something that day. But you know, especially during Donald Trump's and like Hillary Clinton election, Donald Trump most likely, more specifically, definitely influenced Reddit with the, you know, the advent of the Donald subreddit and all that. And it was very hard to see the difference between trolls and actual users. It was very difficult. I don't know if it's because of like Russians and things like that, like, you know, like Russian propaganda, you know, people signing up and trying to, you know, ruin the fabric of, you know, United States or whatever through whatever social media means that they could possibly do. But it was very hard. And what ended up happening was, I think people were sort of copying the trolls or copying the bots, because, you know, there are also bots on Reddit as well. So the bots emulated people's personalities, you know, created their own sort of personality. And then people started emulating that. People like to call people sheep. I think people are more like parrots. You keep hearing a word or a phrase over and over again, and then you're like, then you start saying it, just like what a parrot does. And so I feel like that's what was happening, where on Reddit, bots or, Russian propagandists were just saying things, and then actual American users started to repeat it. They would put memes on, like the Donald subreddit and things like that, and then started pushing it to Facebook and WhatsApp, and people just kept sharing it and sharing it and sharing it, and then that's just what ended up happening. I don't know if any bots created memes, but I definitely do think when you silo someone and put a group of people in an echo chamber and everybody's just shouting and yelling the same exact things at each other and agreeing with one another, and sort of molding into that and started dating people from those groups, whether it's Facebook groups or subreddits or Twitter group chats, and especially how the algorithms of these, you also YouTube videos, and especially because the algorithms of these social networks, how they cater to what you post and what you say, it starts to become easier and easier and easier for an AI to emulate a personality, because we're all slaves to the algorithm. We just want a bunch of likes. We just want a bunch of confirmation. We want to feel accepted. We want to socialize and be with people, like-minded people. It's sort of natural. And it's just sort of sad that like big tech and algorithms and, developers who are just doing what they're told are sort of creating this, So, yeah, I definitely do feel that a personality can be emulated. Yeah, for sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's just there's a lot with that whole and Yang talked about it, of course, with we're being fed breadcrumbs, and what we're doing, how much of it is naturally us versus how much of it is being programmed by these big companies. And you could argue that even without social media, there are other things in life that will sort of shape the way that we think and talk. But it's just there's just so much where this is different because the data is being collected about us, and we're being trained to see things based off of that data. Even websites you don't really ask to collect your data, like Facebook and Google can track you across different sites, and it's just putting these digital breadcrumbs in front of us, and it's reprogramming us. This is definitely more there's so much more of a rabbit hole to go into when it comes to this stuff I'm seeing in the comments about AI, and basically making a version of us that's digital or virtual. I mean, Chappie, I didn't see all of it, but Chappie is an interesting movie talking about can our consciousness be uploaded. That's a whole different sort of realm of stuff. It's funny because there was a Linux terminal at the end where they I don't want to spoil the movie, but they upload someone's consciousness into a robot, and it was just oh my god, it's Linux. It was 2015 when that movie came out, but it was interesting where it's can that actually happen? Can our consciousness be sort of replicated? I mean, that was more uploading and storing our consciousness if we die, but even in general, can you mimic? I don't know. I feel the human interaction though has to be the warmth and the realness. I really hope we don't go down the route of Black Mirror or whatever, but because I feel we just need too much of the humanity. Unless you get certain needs met, and that's a whole different story about robots that can help you in those ways. But it's not just about the physical. There's still that emotional, real need that you need. So I feel the social media and all this stuff won't replace it. At least I hope it doesn't. And as for Sample, I did see the comment. I need to check out what that channel is.
The Days of Noah.
Days of Noah. So
Yeah. No, but it's worrisome. Like, it's like we're just losing our individuality slowly. It's like we're just picking it up. It's like, yeah, like Kerrygold butter is nice, but what about Vermont butter as an example? As a treat to myself, when I go to the supermarket, sometimes I buy different brands of butter. There's just so many, so I don't know what my favorite is. I'm trying to figure that out. So it's like it's just slightly shifting you towards something. So it's not. So that's why at the beginning of the stream, I said, when I hired my personal trainer and I showed him the body type that that I would like. It made me like lately. I've been thinking, is this the body type that I want? Is this the body type that I feel I need to be accepted in society? Or is this body type just an extension of myself? Like we're all not just one thing. So just be like, hey, I'll just be L, but more fit. I'll still be the same person, just more fit. Because I do want to be, a little bit more athletic. Well, I want to be more athletic and just like healthier and like a better, like a body that I, always sort of wanted. So I do want to work towards that. That part of me is definitely me. But I'm sure the body type that I'm looking at is, most likely unachievable. So I'm not really trying to so hard, but just trying to go a little bit towards that.
yeah.
A robot civil rights movement in our lifetime.
Oh goodness.
Like the robots will be talking to us and saying the civil rights movement, like or is it going to be PETA, like where humans will be standing up for robots and trying to fight for their civil rights?
I feel like it's where like robots try to become more like independent. They feel like they are trying to revolt and have like a civil rights movement, which is that's different because normally you think of just robots going full like Skynet or whatever you want to use, but or like HAL 9000, whatever robots going like we're just gonna take over. So it's interesting to see robots who just want to be equals in society. Mm-hmm. I don't know if robots really get to that point where they're that advanced, like where I feel like that would imply some kind of consciousness and some kind of like understanding of their place in society. And I'm not sure, that's like pretty far out there. I feel like all the high end technology advances are more just things like, okay, you have machine learning and AI, but they're very highly specialized and programmed. They don't really have any kind of independence. Even the ones that can beat like Jeopardy, I think like Blue whatever that was able to beat. No, I think Watson beat the Jeopardy. It was Deep Blue that beat someone at chess, and then there was one that I think Google made one that beat the Chinese Go game, which is a very complicated game, but it's like very specialized for those things. I just don't see it getting to the point of actual conscious AI that's not highly programmed for certain tasks that somehow like become conscious and aware enough to then decide to revolt and have like a civil rights type thing. I feel like just as I see technology progress, it doesn't seem like it's going towards that direction. Like there's very real implications of AI and machine learning and certain ethics. But I'm not sure if it's going to become like conscious. Even like an automated weapon that like decides to go rogue and misfire, I don't think it's going to like have a consciousness of what it's doing. It's just going to be going, it's just following its rules, and maybe somehow it gets out of whack. But not to the point of really being able to think. Like that's just too mechanical and too.
I don't know. Like it's possible still, depending on how it gets its information. If it starts to just scour the internet and like most popular posts and things like that, and so it's able to, understand and figure out that, like, let's say, like, Black people want their civil rights, so they will, so the AIs could probably figure out their own, what civil rights is and how it's determined, because at the end of the day, robots are smarter than us. But I guess it also depends on who programmed said AI. Like if it's like someone who's like, probably a white male, he might see civil rights a little differently than if it was developed by like a Black, like queer woman. So I don't know. Like, I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever get to the point of, like civil rights, like civil war. So like a war for civil rights, or like an uproar of some kind. I guess it would depend on the robot and what they're programmed to do and what they have access to, and if anybody hacks into the robot and then makes them do that, and then hacks the robot in such a way that the robot can convince other robots and AI and technologies to do the same thing, then I guess theoretically it could do that. I was thinking about the movie Her with like Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson and Chris Pratt, and how Scarlett Johansson's character, which she's just a voice the entire movie because she's just on Joaquin Phoenix's device. How she starts to keep gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining information as she creates a consciousness. She develops love. She starts to see, she starts to be able to sort of like feel and all these sorts of things. So she starts to grow rapidly, and she's able to have relationships with like millions of people simultaneously, and an AI can do that. There's millions of people on YouTube at this very moment. There's millions of people on Facebook at this very moment. So that it's just constantly gathering data, as small as like, oh, I'm kind of in the mood for some pizza, to oh, I'm going to vote for a Republican this time because the Democrat, I don't know, said some minor thing that people blew out of proportion, and therefore I'm going to, do this sort of thing. So I can't remember exactly what the topic was, but I do think robots could eventually get to that point. I guess it just depends on the robot and what they're being designed to do.
There was a movie. I'm trying to remember where it was playing. Oh yeah, I was at a friend's place, just kind of hanging out, and for whatever reason, like, I guess she had. That's the thing. Like, it wasn't really Netflix, or maybe it was on Netflix, but something was playing, and automatically the movie was called Mitchells versus the Machines.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet, but I do want to watch it. It seems kind of funny.
It is actually very interesting. Like, I didn't see it all the way because, like, I think like I saw like a clip right in the beginning, and then it was kind of like a clip of the robot revolution that had happened, and then like it goes back to like, okay, so here's like what happened beforehand. Regular things are going, and then but I missed all that, so I missed the main part of the movie where like whatever got released, like whatever technology was created got released and went rogue. I just remember seeing a bunch of the action and like the resolution and how things go. So like unfortunately, like I kind of like a lot of like the most cinematic and hype and like action packed parts I already like saw, and like kind of like the resolution. But I would want to rewatch it because that's like a I feel like there's been a lot of these kind of movies, but like I guess this is much more modern, and they even like had the whole playoff of like at one point in the movie, someone was kind of like, wow, I just didn't really think that like giving like so much access to of data to like unregulated monopolies was like such a bad idea. It's like in hindsight, maybe like this wasn't a good idea, and like a good character just looked at him and was like, yeah, probably not. So it was kind of like a funny moment where it was just like they were like touching on real world. Though people don't really think of Facebook and a lot of these monopolies, possible monopolies, they don't really think of them as like AI gone rogue and like doing the. It's more so the mental health aspects, the censorship, possibly the implications of being able to control these things as a platform. But yeah, sure, you can talk about AI and like robots and is there a regulation in that space? So the Mitchells versus the Machines, that's an interesting movie if people want to check it out. I think it was done really well.
Okay.
Like from what I was watching of it, it was very entertaining and very, very humorous, definitely.
Okay.
But yeah, it's actually cool though. Were you sorry? Was someone saying? Okay, I was just saying it was cool that we brought up dating apps too, because that's a whole thing with, like, obviously we went into it, but that's a pretty big thing with algorithms and how that affects our lives. How we're trying to look and get perceived. I mean, Tinder will even like I don't use it very often. I like never use this app, so I will get like notifications of a message, and I'm like, who's messaging me? And it's like, oh, it's Tinder again. Okay, that's not even a real person. So Tinder will say something like, as a reminder, here's some tips about staying active and like things that you should do, and like it's usually you have to find this on other websites, but now even Tinder is like giving you the game up of like solo pics are better than group pics. You know, certain things are better than like other things. Like it's better to look like this, and I'm just like, wow. So it's really just a big game like of like we're playing rules in this algorithm in order to like get seen the most, get matched the most, doing whatever. Like you can find out when, like I've literally looked up like when's the best time to post Instagram posts or stories or even TikTok, and there's like whole things where people do like business analytics on this, where it's like, and a lot of times because businesses want to post for themselves.
Right, exactly. I was going to say
that's like more of a financial thing for them. But even as a person, you can also see like, yeah, between these morning hours and afternoon hours, or if you want to do early evening, that works. People suggest not to post too much in the moment of an event. So maybe late Friday or Saturday is not good because people are like out. Like if you're thinking of like nightlife or just events.
Okay.
I don't know. I have to look at some of the articles again, but I'm just like it's actually very interesting. But then again, it's very much like you're doing this so that you can get maximized. And it is, you know, kind of what it is. Like Roberto Blake actually would have been a great person to have heard from. Not necessarily like just like it would have been curious just to see what he has to say, because he literally does marketing, and he has a YouTube channel that he like gets a living from. So he talks about marketing all the time, and how like he talks about it in politics a lot, how like Democrats need to market, other people like marketing. But when it comes to literal marketing, I mean that's what it is, like being able to brand yourself, and you have to find certain timing. And I mean it works, but it can be very. It sucks if you feel like you have to like live off of this clock or this schedule or this routine. Which again, if you're really like trying to get into that anyway, like routines, and it's good for you, fine. But as someone who kind of struggles in general with like having a solid routine, like trying to like box myself in to the best hours of when to post things, or the best time, even Tinder will tell you the best time on Tinder. Apparently, that's the most popular is like early Sunday evening, like not super late Sunday, but like maybe after 5 or 6 p.m. Sunday. And I'm like, I wouldn't have even known that, but Tinder literally tells you, and then you have like the surge, like all these. If you have like the paid Tinder, they'll tell you like if you want to pay for it, you can like get a boost and you can swipe for this hour. But I'm like, that's a lot going on. So,
but it makes you wonder: is it Tinder, the notifications bringing people on at that time, creating that algorithm, or is that just an actual fact? Because they are that powerful. Because you know, it's not like you're out here doing. At least not to my knowledge, you're out here doing your own research on when is the actual time that a lot of people just go on dating apps in general. You know, Tinder is specifically saying Tinder because Tinder can only speak for Tinder.
Yeah,
And you could just be lying just to get you on because it wants your attention, because it's bored and it wants money.
it's
So it wants
boring.
to show you ads, you know? And, or they're probably telling, they might be saying, oh, this right now is the best time because it wants you to, and it's probably doing that for select, for groups of people who they feel match your interests or something. Because I mean, Tinder isn't really for to meet people. Like, let's just be honest. It's actually for for them to make money. It's just like another form of gambling almost. You swipe left because there might be somebody better underneath. You swipe left because there might be someone better underneath that card, and you keep going and you keep going, and then you just might match with somebody, and it feels good. So it feels like you just won. Maybe like $100. It's like, oh, okay, I only spent like $30. Now I won 100, so like I got 70. Okay, I'm doing something. I'm somewhere, and and so on and so forth. And this is these dating apps are also designed pretty much like social media apps too. They just want people to stay on because they need money. Like, yeah, they get ads, but they need people to look at the ads and interact with the ads and buy things from the ads or whatever. Ads only show up on places that get a lot of eyes. They get a lot of attention. Tinder didn't always used to have ads. When in the earlier years, Tinder didn't have any ads, and then it started getting more popular, and then they started adding ads. Yeah, I don't think, and it's probably because I just have a slight bias towards Tinder. It's a dumb story. Um, so, like, I don't think Tinder is there to help you meet people. I feel like these apps sort of pigeonholed us into a way of life, into almost some sort of a belief that in order to meet your love, in order to meet, someone, that you can date or just hook up with or whenever you go onto Tinder. What I have noticed since I've been using Hinge a little bit more is that it seems like a lot of guys who are just looking to hook up on Tinder because they just kept getting matched with bots or people who are just trying to advertise their OnlyFans accounts or like probably get them into into like some sort of things. They've they just started to move to Hinge, and now like these guys who are just looking to hook up move to Hinge, where Hinge was originally for trying to create a relationship. Because I mean, I don't use Hinge too much. I haven't like on a single time gone through like 30 profiles, because of how Hinge is set up. It's a little bit more difficult because when you X out somebody, you feel like they're just sort of gone for good, even though they're probably not. But with Tinder, that you're going to probably see this person again in the next couple of weeks, months, or like next year or so. Maybe like months. I don't really say next year, but probably. But you'll probably see them a few times a year. But with Hinge, you don't really get that feeling, and how Hinge is designed and what Hinge tells you, and they're probably lying to you as well. Just from like what people have told me, it just seems like Hinge is like what they say, designed to be deleted, where they want people to meet people and all that. But once again, they could just be saying that because I'm just taking Hinge's word for it. Just like Toby, you're taking Tinder's word for it, but Tinder's probably telling the truth. But it's sort of like a chicken or egg sort of thing, like which came first. Were more people like coming to Tinder at that time at like 5-6 p.m. on a Sunday, or was Tinder saying that they get the notification, now you feel like you're missing out on a potential girlfriend or a potential lay, So you jump on Tinder in hopes for, like maybe this will be it. Maybe this will be my lucky day because all of these apps are essentially casinos, just gambling um, softwares.
So I will say I don't like. I guess Tinder can of course lie. They can lie and say whatever they want. But from my understanding, they say that either they say that Tinder already like there are already a lot of active users and saying like, wow, this Sunday is so there's a lot of people and you're missing out. And yeah, so it could very well just be that they're saying that to help to drive the influence, but they also had a press release, and I just posted it in the chat that like there's a I guess they from their own data were saying between 1 and 4 p.m. is the most popular time on Tinder Sunday around brunch. It seems so that seems to be the most popular time for people to be on, or maybe that's when people will get the most matches. It said the peak time for Tinder use is Sunday 1 to 4. So it seems like that. I mean, maybe at some point that will drive more, but to be honest, that article, let me click on it real quick. The article was released December 2017. So I mean, it could be the case that since then it drives more people to go at that time. Or I don't know, people have a weekend, whatever. They had all their plans. Sunday, maybe they're more chilling. They're just like, let me get on this app. I don't know. Actually, it's funny. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. I did want to point out one thing that talked about people studying how to get laid, because this is a real thing. And I'm not personally like I out of interest, I was sometimes looking up like people who that you always hear these gurus about, like they've studied dating, they've gone on dates, they've had not great experiences, they've looked at some of the research, they look at psychology, and they're like all these like pickup artists are wrong. Like a lot of them are just doing things that are sleazy. They're teaching you like recycled things. It's just like you're not authentic, you're fake. So there are people who basically say that it's just interesting to see like people who really do study these things, and they're trying to like not necessarily be a dating coach, but they're trying to like come up with 21st century ways of like looking at all the things that don't work, that frustrate people, and focus on what does work. That isn't so, I guess, it doesn't make you feel like as much like crap like some of these social media apps do or these dating apps do. So that'll be like my last thing on that. But there are definitely like research that I've seen. Like I've definitely not tried using them, but out of curiosity, I like looked some of these things up, and yeah, there are a lot of people who've done a lot of things to try to like they recognize that there's like a sleazy game of pickup artists, and so they try to do it in a way that's different, that's more about self-improvement in a way, and like noticing certain things that you do. So in some ways there's gaming the system, but it's different. So anyway, that was just the last kind of tangent on that.
Yeah, I know. Jeez, I was gonna go back to a question before we start wrapping up soon. Was will there be a case where robots will have like a civil rights movement, and especially in our lifetime? I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime, but I do remember watching the episode on Sword Art Online, and it kind of dived into this concept where the artificial intelligence was programmed in a VR world, but over time it had a sense of intelligence. It had a sense of consciousness. Like it was aware of pain, it was aware of sadness, of joy, of happiness, and it was able to interact as if it was an actual real life person. And so what this company ended up doing was creating a shell, in a sense, and depositing I'm gonna call it the essence of that artificial intelligence into that shell. And you will think just by looking at the shell, it will be like, an actual person, but no. The AI said, no, I'm an AI. I was built by so and so, and I am here as the very first version of my kind, so to speak. And a lot of people were asking questions and everything else, and what the AI said was this: I'm not here to drive people out of work. I'm not here to replace anybody. I'm here to learn what humans do for a living. I'm here to learn and understand how humans age, how humans interact with other humans. And basically, like, I don't want you to view me as some kind of robot, but in a sense, view me as if I was a human, but I just came from overseas, And basically it was like almost kind of building up the concept of, I'm not trying to have equal rights, but at the same time, don't treat me as if I don't have a voice. Don't treat me as if I don't have feelings, because at the end of the day, my feelings may not be the same as yours, but I do have some type of feeling that I know that's there, that I can't ignore. I know when something is coming down my eyes, I know I'm crying. I know if my hand gets chopped off, sure, I'm gonna see my hand chopped off, but at the same time, I know that I can feel that sensation of my hand being chopped off. The only difference is that, over time, humans get old. They tend to kind of have a bunch of health issues and everything else. Me, on the other hand, not as much. Like, if anything, I would probably look the same way for 100 years, and possibly eventually that's when I might end up dying out. That's it. And so that won't happen until like years down the line. Like, the AI we have now is like, yeah, sure, it's probably good for like manufacturing working or like food processing. I know, of course, we got self-driving cars, trucks, so forth and so forth. But even still, the for it to have like a level of intelligence where it's like we're going to be able to sit down and have a full-fledged conversation, and it's not going to be like robotic-y. It'll almost feel as though I'm talking to a real life person. We're not there yet, but at the same time, it's like maybe 3, 4, 5 generations down the line. Sure, probably by then we'll have something like that. But as of right now, nah, not yet. Not yet.
I mean, Google has like something called CallJoy. How do you say about the software or whatever, something?
Yeah.
Where you can have like your Google Assistant make appointments for you and like call for you and pretend to be a human.
Yeah.
And it does like the inflections. It will say something like, "What time are you open?" Okay. Like it will actually say, well, like make those sort of inflections to seem more human.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we're too far down. Like, I think we're closer than we think because how things move, it just moves so fast. And I always think we take it for granted. I think
Yeah,
we'll
that's
be able
fair.
to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very fair. I remember hearing about that for sure. With I forgot what the context that I saw was. but it was maybe some class or something that I was watching that was showing, hey, look, this, like, you couldn't even tell, because like you knew that because the context of the talk that this was something kind of related to automation or AI. So like I actually didn't know it was the caller making it was like making a hair reservation appointment or something. That was the AI. I was like, okay, this might be the other end where they just have a more realistic operator for the business. So I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty realistic. I literally did not know that the person calling was the AI. I was like, holy crap, that is actually kind of scary. I mean, listening again, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see maybe certain things, but yeah, if you can just have that kind of like feeling, like the way that you interact with someone. I mean, Cleverbot was actually something that I knew from years ago. I haven't thought about it in years now, but Cleverbot was like that chat bot that was supposed to be like, I don't know if it was a Google thing, but like Cleverbot was very, you would talk to it and it would talk back to you in a way that, I mean, it would kind of get like maybe a little bit feisty or like other things. Like it definitely was not like a human being, but it didn't just come as a completely nothing bot. Like, so, okay, it went online in 1997. What the heck? And created in 1986. But, oh, never mind. Sorry. It was said Jabberwocky was a bot that was created way back then. So Cleverbot was created recently, 2010. No, it was probably created before that, 2011. I can't see the correct date, but it was created sometime at least 10 years ago. So anyway, yeah, Cleverbot, chatbots, they're definitely like advances where things are more human. It's just the hard part is like the physical thing. Like that thing's a robot, right? Maybe you could try to get some realistic looking robots, but that gets really creepy. Really, really creepy. And then of course the dreaded topic of the topic of sex bots, where that's just like a whole different domain of, do you really want this thing to look like you? Actually, last thing, I'm sorry. I remember seeing something about virtual reality porn where like you're immersed in the porn. And this was actually a married man who was doing this. Like his wife knew about it and he was like, yeah, look at this experience. I think she didn't want him to do it anymore after that when she saw how realistic and immersive it looked. Where literally it's like, it looks like the person is on top of you, giving you a lap dance or, really doing other things. And you see everything hanging there in your face. And it's just like, oh, wow. So virtual reality could be a thing where like things look a little more realistic and the emotions are more there. And maybe they even stimulate you with certain things. Like if you can have wearable tech. So I remember Ready Player One, like literally the guy was like dancing with someone and, she was kind of getting suggestive down there and you could see the thing tingling and it's like, oh God, like that's just so weird to think about.
But it shouldn't be like that far off because how many decades have we had like the Rumble controller? If it can make the connection of, oh, something's happening in this game, that's going to rumble to, I guess, sort of feel real. And
yeah.
You have like the movie theaters where they, some movie, like the big movie theaters sometimes have those sort of features like in their chairs and stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to a movie theater like that before, but I've always wanted to. So I got to put that on my list of things to do. So I don't think that's really, I'm sure it probably exists or it's coming soon. I remember, this is kind of funny, but like I remember I think there was like a long distance like sex toys for for couples for long distance. So it's like, oh, they would have whatever parts for whatever partner, and then like I guess they'd have something and they could sort of feel it. Or maybe I was watching like some futuristic fictional show, sci-fi show. I don't know, but I think there was something like that in Japan.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say because I know Japan, they already have that.
Okay.
They have that, and it's also just kind of coincides with what Toby was saying, was where it is totally immersive. It's a totally immersive VR, and they have like I call them appendages. that connect to, body parts, and what you see. And what you see is what you feel in real life. So it's like, it almost feels as though like it's actually happening. And it was actually there. And I remember just like looking on it, and I'm like, really? Again, it was on Facebook. I think it was like on a Now This kind of episode.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was like, are you serious? But at the same time, it was like, yeah, that's happening. And this was like maybe a year, 2 years ago, because they were still working out the bugs and the kinks, because it wasn't like working properly, but still it was already like they already had it like made, or not in made, but they already had it like kind of completed in a way where you could like adjust the settings to get it to feel as realistic as possible. And having like the VR headset over your head and everything else like as realistic as possible. And it was like, holy crap, like that's going to be like super weird.
I see the need for it. It is going to be crazy, because it will almost be like you can, I mean, right now you can date anyone everywhere, but there's always the hindrance, because it's not like you can hold them or kiss them or have sex with them. But now it's going to be sort of like, oh, it's not quite the same, but it's something, and that could I don't know, maybe couples will be totally fine with that, just being in totally different parts of the country. It might start to teeter on the on the cusp, on the fence of, is this cheating, is this not cheating, like that. One episode of Black Mirror with was it Yahya Abdul-Mateen? He was the guy with the I think it's called Black Falcon guy, and it was like, I forgot what the fighting game was, like Striking Vipers or something, where like they had like this futuristic video game, and you could like put something on the side of your temple, and you get so immersed in this game, and then people started just like having sex with characters in the game.
Oh, is this the new season of Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never ended up watching the new season.
What? You never saw the Striking Vipers? Yeah. It was like such a good cast of people too. So it's sort of like on the cusp of, like, is this cheating or not? Is this, like, what is this? Like, this person needed this, like, release with somebody, and but this guy was already married. It was between two guys. But, and then the guy was married to a woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a good episode. Had a great cast.
Wow, that's immersive. That's immersive.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Yeah, it's getting real.
It's getting
A lot.
It's getting late. We got stuff to do, but we appreciate you guys sticking around with us. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us, chatting. You guys have been awesome, been great, and we will sign off for the evening. We will catch you guys tomorrow, and then of course we will see you guys next week. Same channel, same place, same trio, maybe special guests. Who knows? But again, just keep it locked. We will see you guys next week. Have a good night. Catch you later.
Everybody.
Thank you.